Hi, it's Tacticus again, and today we're talking about cheese. Cheese is a food made from curdled... Wait, no, that's not the cheese we're talking about today. Cheese is used as a word for cheap and unusual tactics to win games. Tacticus just bombards the player with missions. There's the daily quests on the battle pass, some more if you pay for the premium pass, a mission line with almost every event, character missions, guild missions, temporary missions, a whole lot of them. And today we're going to have a look at what missions there are and how you can make them easier or more effective to fulfill. Before we start though, a huge thank you to all of you who have supported me over the last 3.5 months. I recently celebrated 500 subscribers, and just this week I was approved by Snowprint as an official content creator. Please enjoy the code on screen and share it around and spread the word. If you want to support me in-game, you can use my referral code BAT60ADO for 100 Blackstone. It would also really help me out tremendously if you checked whether you're subscribed to this channel. First off, what are we talking about here? Missions are those little quests you get daily, weekly and monthly. Well, seasonally would fit better. The daily ones you need to fulfill rather quickly, but give smaller rewards. I find that most Battle Pass missions fulfill themselves by playing if you do some fights manually. I struggle with that sometimes, but that's mostly because I rate everything that's not nailed down. I classified the missions as followed, leaving out guild missions, as those are just a tad big in scope for a single player to influence much. There's kill missions that expect you to defeat a certain number of enemies, often with a restriction to that. Damage missions that want you to do either generally a lot of damage or damage of a certain type, or with abilities, and ability missions that expect you to use a certain amount of abilities, often with a certain character or faction. Heal missions require you to heal a bunch of damage by either healing or repairing. Those four often expect high numbers from you, so they're a prime candidate for cheesing. Then there's what I call win missions, which require a certain amount of battles being won or waves being defeated. In the Battle Pass there's also regularly move missions and energy missions, which I won't mention further as those pretty much solve themselves from normal gameplay. There's also some outliers I quickly mention. The limited time mission from defeating campaign bosses now having a much more generous time window of 7 days, most people won't struggle. I like to push the campaigns a bit further and go back to try 3-star everything, which lets me use the characters enough to fulfill the missions. Some missions can't really be cheesed. The aforementioned win missions need you to win battles. That's just non-negotiable. In a way, you can cheese them if you can do a full team consisting of Imperial characters, as you could just play the 3 energy missions from Indomitus. There's no other reward for those battles but a little gold, and I tend to avoid that. You can also use Indomitus 15 to 29 to save a single energy per battle, which is neat, but remember that you're using a standard campaign and that's just ineffective for farming materials. You can watch my comparison for farming and buying upgrades to really see how ineffective this is. I personally just look up what I need to farm anyways and then play those battles manually with little regard to energy. If you're tight with energy, you should probably do mirror campaign battles for common and uncommon upgrades you need anyways. Those are close enough in value to elite campaigns to feel good enough for me, and there's also some upgrades you can't farm at elite nodes at all. If you have any extremist nodes available at the time, since their change in the second iteration, those are pretty much as good as elite nodes and only need 6 energy, so fighting those is effective too, if they fit the faction you have to use right now. Character missions combine some archetypes, but I feel it would be sensible to mention them here as a separate entry. For some parts of them, there's not a lot of optimizing to do. They come in 3 consecutive tiers. Tier 1 just needs you to fight 5 arena battles and to have the featured character survive 5 battles. Chaos and Imperial characters are really easy to do, as you can just use the characters in low levels from their campaigns while farming. Tier 2 which needs you to kill 50 enemies with them and use 10 abilities respectively, is easy for them too, as you can just use them by farming at some of the lower levels of the campaigns. For Xenos characters, you're out of luck if there's no campaign for them. I either hide them in the back in the arena if I'm confident I can win, or I try to use Salvage Run, as dying there is pretty uncommon and you can use every character in that mode. Beware, it's not really effective to do so. If you're interested in playing Salvage Run effectively, I recommend my video on that here. Mission 3 needs you to do damage, which depends on the character, but is usually 4000. Healers might also need to heal a certain amount of damage. Even if you keep the featured character at a low level, you can boost their damage, and also healing capabilities, by using damage buffers like Eltion, Kalgar, and even if those are not great, Abaddon, Pestilian or Asgore for Chaos. Those allow you to take a character to a fight you'll win anyways, even if it's above their personal level, hide them away and deliver some big punches to get damage quickly. I like to use Arena, since I can use both Eltion and Kalgar there and couple them with my character of choice. Just pick a battle that's below your strength, so you'll win even with the handicap. It's no problem if the trainee dies during that, as long as he did some damage. Be wary of enemy Thaddeus's and Celestines. I just try to avoid those, as their long reach allows them to kill weak characters turn 1 very often. You could also fight a lot of battles with the characters, as you're not on a timer here, but that will definitely take longer. For quests that want certain types of damage, those damage boosters also really help out. Kalgar might be rarer, but everyone and their mother gets Eltion at some point, and despite the debuff I still feel that his passive is solid and can really help you out, especially for those missions. The event missions for hero release events are where it's at. There are 20 missions that play out over 14 days. If you are too slow, you might not be able to do the bonus mission, and a total of 2000 event currency is really welcome to boost your process and character acquisition. I already talked about damage, and you can't do much about having to use tokens for salvage runs, onslaught and arena. You should save those before release events start to be able to go through the missions faster. This won't help with leaderboard placings, but takes time pressure away later on. To use as little energy as possible, you can cheese a lot of those missions though. Especially those that expect high numbers of damage, kills of certain kinds, ability uses, or ability damage. For those battles, you want to pick just the perfect campaign level and prolong the fight as long as possible. For that, you need respawning enemy types. Luckily, there's 3 campaigns that offer those enemies. Fall of Cadia has Voxcasters that call in reinforcements on an edge hex close by. Then there's Grots in Octarius Mirror that multiply by being left alive at full health, and lastly Scarab Swarms in Indomitus. Their advantage is that they can't flee, as random elements like fleeing are the anathema to cheesing. To further reduce random elements, you don't want any summons on your side at all. So fighters that can't attack without summoning like Akimatos, Shozil or Celestine are out. Overwatch is also a bad idea, as it could jeopardize your plans. You also don't want to die at some point and will definitely need a healer. Healers that heal passive like Nicodemus, Isabella or Aleph are best. You don't want to actually play the game, do you? You also want a way to count what you did in your battle. Counting manually is what I did for a long time, but I would always miscount or get distracted while doing a 30-minute clickathon, which is why characters that can count are a great help, like a certain vampire. Oh sorry Mephiston, I mistook you for someone else for a second. Well, anyways, a counter a lot of people have will be Bellator. If you click at his active ability, you can see how many intercessors he'd call for help, which is the turn number. If you have no one else, you can use him to see how long your battle is going on. A more attractive outlook are the Sisters of Battle. You get Isabella at some point in the rewards track, or can buy her at the beginning of the game if you just don't take the Yarrick offer. Isabella also ticks the box of healing passively, so she's a great character to use. The Sisters of Battle's trait, Act of Faith, counts how many kills you've done since they last attacked themselves. Another positive for Isabella, as you don't want her to attack anyways. Fleeing enemies don't count, but that's no problem, as you don't want to count those anyways. Just divide the crit chance by 10 and you have the number of killed enemies. Lastly, there's Titus. Sadly, he isn't available anywhere in game, but with blind luck in requisitions, or you can buy him whenever campaign events come around and you choose the Tyranid one. As an epic character, he's more expensive as others you can buy, and I'm not sure I'd buy him anyways, as he's not the most useful character outside of this use case. He can count active ability usage with his passive Fueled by Fury. That lets you count everything you could ever need but damage and healing. On screen there's a quick recap of what you're looking for. You need a healer, repeatable enemies, and optimally some characters to count, and someone to do the actual job you need to do right now. Now that we've established how counting works, you need to find a level that works for your needs. For me, the most annoying missions is the Do X abilities. This one can be done one of two routes. You either need Ahriman for his repeatable active, or Barakiel for his. I prefer Barakiel, since he can be used with a nice composition of Isabella, Bellator and Titus in one nice package and bear down on some unsuspecting crots. Octarius Mirror 71 is the most effective for this, as it just consists of crots and you can put them in a nice corner. I don't need that much mirrored though, so sometimes I go to other levels with some crots. Just to be sure to kill everything else, especially the orcs, as their stick bombs will also damage crots, and those little guys only reproduce when they're perfectly healthy. Sounds like something an agorist would say. This level, with this setup, effectively lets you farm damage done, ability damage done, ranged kills, and abilities used. You need to manually select a crot to kill every 2 turns though, so it can be a bit of a drag. Try to select the one with the least neighbors to make fleeing less of a problem. The off turn between abilities helps with crots spawning, so little care is needed doing this approach. Never attack a crot when he's in a group where every crot could flee. This would mean having to spend another 6 energy, and we really don't want that. I find the same level most effective for pretty much everything. Putting Ulf in front of the pack and Isabella back means that he'll kill crots every turn by just skipping turns. With some bad RNG, it could be that they flee too fast and you can't control what he hits, so in this case placing a soft target on top here to lure in a crot that will never go away there might pay off. This serves to farm ability damage and melee kills, as well as occasionally energy damage if you don't want to use any tokens for that. It doesn't work as well for healing, because Ulf will simply kill everything next to him and not be damaged. For healing, just use the Barakiel setup and a weaker character that will get healed by Isabella each turn and skip away. Angrax pretty much fills the same niche as Ulf if you want to do it with chaos characters. In levels with enough Voxcasters like Fall of Cadia 40, and if his passive is high enough to just kill Cadians with one swing, you can just position him next to an edge hex where the Voxcasters will spawn in more soldiers that he'll kill with his passive pretty much immediately. You still better bring Rodbone, so that the damage the Voxcasters shooting at you can be healed. Since you can't have any counters here, I basically only use this for safe melee kills by clicking skip turn passively. The only thing we are really missing is a reliable way to do ranged kills without thinking. If you know any, let me know in the comments. Someone with Overwatch might work fine, but the number of hits means it doesn't work on Scarabs, and crots just seem to clog up the map too fast and be too close for Overwatch in subsequent turns. If you see a weak enemy team in arena with a Bio War, that can also be used to farm kills without spending any energy. But you need to keep one enemy, might also be a spore mine, but doesn't work on small maps, alive so the fight doesn't end, which can be problematic. I usually just go to guild raids for ability damage. The goal there is to do as much damage as possible anyways, and abilities are a big part of that, so keeping a token or two for the appropriate missions can help a lot. Especially when you have a mech team with Row in there, those missions will be settled quite fast. If you're forced to do abilities with characters of a certain faction, that can be different levels of difficulty. Imperial can just use Barakiel as described, and with Chaos you can use Ahriman. For Xenos you are out of luck right now. Try to farm upgrades you would anyways, and if you want to minimize energy loss and do it fast, go for mirror nodes for common and uncommon items that use 5 characters. While an elite mission will be more effective, the mirror nodes will use up less energy per ability use. On screen you can see how much energy an ability use or an upgrade will cost and how that compares to the best method, which is mirror and normal nodes for using abilities with less energy and elite nodes for farming upgrades. If you've got enough energy and time, of course elite nodes are more effective for upgrades. Just be sure you can use characters that can use their abilities in isolation. Gulgorz is great now, but if his charge and his boys kill all enemies, that's just one ability use. So use the less impactful ones and the ones that can be used without restrictions first, and go for the damaging ones later. So, that's my little overview on missions and which ones you can exploit. On screen there is an overview on the most common mission types and how to finish them most effectively. If you have some secret cheese stashed away and would like to share it, let me know in the comments and I collect those in a pinned post for future viewers. Thank you very much for watching and have a great day.